everyone, welcome back to Yoga for First Responders. I'm Heather and today we're going to do a slow calming practice, a little bit of movement with our breath and then some longer, deeper stretches just to help calm the body, calm the mind, and just to take a break from our crazy world right now. So as we do that, let's begin with a short breathing exercise. So go ahead and make yourself comfortable as having a seat wherever you are located, on the floor, on a chair, wherever feels best for you. And try to sit up nice and tall, bringing those shoulders just above those hips so we can allow that breath to flow a little bit easier. And before we move into the breathing exercise, I just want you to try to bring awareness, bring your attention to your breath. Just for a moment here, try to find your natural breath. Just noticing the pace of your breath, the depth of your breath. And just allowing yourself to get a little heavier into your seat, really connecting with the mat below, just softening through the upper body, getting a little heavier through those elbows, just really arriving into your seat here. And then we're going to do what's called equal ratio breathing. So it's really just what it sounds like. But how we do that, so again, as we bring that awareness back to the breath, maybe on your next breath in, just count in your mind. Notice how long, like how many seconds it takes you to take a full breath in. And then the same thing on your breath out. Just count and notice the length of your exhale. And there's no magic number here. You could be breathing to the count of 2. You could be breathing to the count of 6. Just try to find your natural breath. So again, we're just counting on the inhale and then counting on the exhale. And you might find that one is a little bit longer than the other. So for these next few breaths, just try to even out those counts, making the inhale the same length as the exhale. Okay, and then for these next 4 breaths, let's try to add 1 count to that breath. So for example, if you're breathing to the count of 4, try to breathe to the count of 5. Just making it a little bit longer, a little bit slower. And then just one more thing to try here for these next 3 or 4 breaths. See if you can make that exhale 2 counts longer than the inhale. So again, if you were breathing into the count of 4, try breathing out to the count of 6. Or wherever number you are at. Just one more full breath here. And then whenever you are ready, go ahead and let go of that counting. You can just come back to your natural breath. Maybe you flutter those eyes open. And then just check in once again. Notice where the mind's at, how the body feels. It's just a very simple breathing exercise that you can really use or do anywhere. I oftentimes do it when I'm trying to fall asleep, if I'm having a hard time sleeping, or if you just need a moment to regroup and refocus, you can just try counting those breaths. All right, let's find a little bit of movement here. So if those legs are crossed, let's cross them the other way, so the other leg in front. And once again, just finding your seat, try to sit evenly on the sitting bones. And on that next breath in, let's reach those arms out towards the sides, up towards the ceiling, connecting those hands, and then exhale in down to your heart center. Maybe those thumbs even connect with the heart. Inhaling, let's reach straight back up. And then exhaling all the way out and down until you feel the floor underneath those fingertips. 2 breaths like that. Inhaling as we reach out and up. Connecting the hands, exhaling down to your heart center. Inhaling as we lift back up. And exhaling all the way out and down. 1 more breath like that as we breathe in, reaching and extending. On the breath out, just allowing everything to soften. And inhale as we reach back up. Exhaling all the way out and down. Let's leave the right hand on the floor and inhale, left arm reaches up. Exhaling as it lowers down. Inhaling, opposite arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Exhaling as it lowers. Let's take it a little bit deeper. Inhaling as we lift up. And then exhale over to the side. Slowly switching those arms as you inhale and reach. Exhaling over to the side. And once more on each side. Inhaling as you reach like you're trying to touch the ceiling, and then over towards the side. And switching those arms. Inhaling all the way up and exhaling over. Bringing both hands to the floor here. Let's bring those hands out in front of those legs. Inhaling as we lift nice and tall, shoulders draw down and back. And exhaling, we're going to walk those hands forward. Just as far as those hips will allow. Bringing those palms, those fingertips to the mat. As we breathe in, try to lift a little bit through that torso. And then on the breath out, gently pressing those shoulders down towards the floor, allowing the head to relax, dropping the chin towards the chest. And then inhaling as we slowly walk those hands back up. And let's uncross those legs. We'll bring those hands behind the body. So legs extended forward. Fingertips on the floor pointing in towards the body. On our inhale, we're just going to lift through the heart. Take a big shoulder roll back and down, maybe even turn that gaze up towards the ceiling. And just trying to get a little bit lighter in those hips. They're still connected with the floor, but just try to get a little bit lighter there. 1 more inhale. And then on the exhale, releasing those hands, we'll slide those heels up until the feet come to the floor. Hands can come to the front of those knees. And we'll move through a few of our seated cat and cows. So just hands resting lightly on the front of those knees. See if you can connect those toes, those feet with the mat underneath you. And then on our breath in, let's lift nice and tall. Big shoulder roll back and down. And let's just pause here for a full breath. Reaching the chest forward, lifting it up. Maybe even turn that gaze slightly up as well. And then on the exhale, go ahead and round through the back. Softening through the front of the body. Maybe you drop the chin closer to the chest. And then feel free to move with your breath. Inhale as you reach forward and up. Exhaling all the way down and back. Inhaling as we lift. Try to draw those shoulders down and back. So we open through the front of those shoulders, and exhaling as the belly draws in, rounding through the low, the mid, the upper back. 3 more times each direction. And slowly making your way back to center. All right, let's bring those feet around to the side. Just coming all the way back into our child's pose. So the knees can be close together, they can be far apart, but just try to bring those big toes together. And we'll extend those arms forward, finding a spot for the forehead to rest, or you can just hover over the mat. Now, as always, if this isn't very comfortable on the knees or the hips, you can always be up on those knees and just have a seat on your mat here. Take a moment to find that breath once again. Maybe notice where your forehead is connected, whether it's with the mat or your hands, or maybe it's just hovering over the floor. And then as we extend these arms forward, let's walk both hands over to our left side. Leaning those hips over to the right. Just try to walk that right hand a little further away from the body. Again, the head can hover over the floor, or you can rest it on that right arm. Just bringing awareness to the right side of the body. Breathing into that space you're creating. And then slowly walk those hands back through center. Pausing in the center here just for a moment, check in with both sides of the body. And then we'll walk those hands over to the right side. Leaning those hips over to the left. Maybe that left hand walks a little further away from the body here, finding a spot for the head to rest or hover. And then inhaling as we slowly bring those hands back to center. Hands about shoulder width apart, really walking forward through those fingertips. On our next inhale, let's come forward into a kneeling plank here. So bringing those knees back in so they're about hip width apart, but behind those hips. So we're shifting that weight forward just like the top of a push-up. We're just on those knees. So another breath in here, try to reach forward a little more through the crown of the head. And then exhaling, bending those elbows, we'll lower all the way down to the chest and the belly. On our inhale, just our little baby cobra. Take a big shoulder roll back and down as we lift those shoulders off the mat. You can even lift through the chest. Maybe see if you can relax or even lift those fingertips. So we're just engaging through the lower back here. One more inhale. And then exhaling as we lower back down. Inhaling as we lift back up. And exhaling, hips reach back. One more time, just inhale, coming forward into that kneeling plank. Exhaling, elbows bend as we lower down to the chest and the belly. This time, maybe we lift a little higher. Keeping those hands, those fingertips connected with the floor. And then exhaling as we lower back down. Inhaling back up to our knees, exhaling, hips reach back. Once again, just pausing here in your child's pose. Taking 3 full breaths. And then as you feel ready, and extending those arms, lifting those hips just enough to tuck our toes, reaching the hips back, and then lifting them all the way up towards the ceiling. Take a few breaths here. You can walk out those heels, maybe bend one knee towards the mat and then the other. Just reaching the opposite heel a little closer to the floor. Maybe shake the head out no, nod it yes. Feel free to just move around a little bit in your downward dog as you find your space. Okay, relaxing both heels towards the floor, and on our inhale, let's lift our right leg all the way back behind us. Doesn't have to be very high, just try to reach out through those toes as you lift up through the heel. One inhale here, and as we exhale, bending that right knee, let's just bring it forward towards those hands, lowering down to the left knee, keeping our left hand on the floor. Inhaling, right arm reaches forward and all the way up. Let's find a big circle with that right arm, and then bring it down to the floor. Lifting that left knee, let's step the front foot back, downward dog. Inhaling as the left leg lifts this time, reaching back through those toes, up through the heel, and exhaling as we bend that left knee, stepping it to the front of our mats. Lowering down to the right knee, right hand stays on the floor. Inhaling, big circle as we reach forward with the left hand, all the way up, all the way back, and then down to the floor. Slowly, we're going to step this back foot forward, but let's keep those hips low and we're going to have a seat all the way on our mats. All right, bringing those feet back to the mat here. We're just going to wrap these arms around the legs. And as we breathe in, sitting up nice and tall, on the breath out, just folding over those legs, bringing the chin a little closer to the chest. Softening through the tops of those shoulders, maybe releasing through the jaw a little bit. And for 5 breaths here, try to maybe come back to that equal ratio breathing that we started class with. As we slowly begin to count the length of our inhales and the length of our exhales. And then as you feel ready, go ahead and slowly bring that gaze back up to center. And we're going to extend our right leg out in front of us. So slightly out to the side, out to the diagonal a little bit here. This left foot can come along the inside of the leg, and then just try to sit up nice and tall. Sitting evenly as much as we can on those sitting bones. We're going to bring both hands, so on either side of the leg here, so framing the leg. And as we inhale, try to sit up nice and tall, lifting from the lower belly all the way up to the crown of the head. And on the exhale, we're just going to slowly hinge at those hips as we walk those hands forward. Now if this knee lifts off the mat a little bit, that's okay. We just want to keep that heel connected with the floor. And then the toes pointing up towards the ceiling, so gently flexing that right foot. Now as we pause here, on our next breath in, staying folded or hinged at those hips here, we're just going to inhale, try to lift through the torso. Find a little bit more length through the spine, and then exhaling, folding back over that leg. 2 breaths like that. Inhaling, just a tiny little lift, reaching up, reaching forward through the chest. Exhaling as we fold back over the leg. And 1 more breath like that. Exhaling, just pausing here. 3 full breaths as we relax through the gaze, relax through the jaw, through the shoulders. Now let's keep our our left hand where it is. We're going to reach your right hand towards the inside of our leg or our foot here. Now on our breath in, let's reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. So finding a little opening through the left side of the body, but still folding over that extended leg. So again, you can have the hand on the inside of the thigh, the calf, or down on the foot. But just try to reach up like you're trying to touch the ceiling above, and then maybe over towards that right foot as well. Trying to keep those hips or those sitting bones connected with the mat below you, and especially that left hip. Try to get a little heavier into the left leg, the left hip. 1 more full breath here. And then on the inhale, we're going to sit all the way up. Let's bring our left hand behind the body. Right hand can come to the knee. And on the inhale, lifting a little bit taller. Exhaling, we're going to twist to the side, turning towards that bent knee. Maybe looking over that back shoulder. And then on the next breath in, slowly coming back to center. And those hands are going to come out in front of that bent leg. Again, flexing through that right foot as we breathe in, sitting nice and tall. On the breath out, walking those hands forward. Again, just as far as those hips or that leg will allow you to go here. It's different for each one of us, so wherever you're at is perfect. 3 breaths. You can always use that sinking breath as you inhale, lifting through the torso, and then exhale, we sink a little bit deeper. Or you can just stay and hold. And then when you feel ready, on an inhale, slowly walking those hands back up. Let's extend both legs just like we did at the beginning of class. Hands come behind the body, fingertips pointing in. And inhaling, let's lift up nice and tall, lifting the heart up towards the ceiling, grounding down into those palms, into the fingertips, getting a little lighter through those hips. 1 more full breath here. And exhaling, go ahead and release. Let's give the other side a try. We'll bring that left leg out to the side, to the diagonal. The right foot comes in. And then let's turn our torso, our shoulders over that extended leg. So hands can be on the floor. You can always keep the hands behind the body for additional support there if you'd rather. But on an inhale, let's sit up nice and tall. Again, engage, lifting from the lower belly all the way up to the crown of the head. And then exhale, we're just hinging at the hips. Slowly walking those hands forward till your body just pauses for you. It might not be as far as you want to go, but that's just what it needs today. So let's take a nice inhale as we lift through the torso. Again, try to reach forward through the chest, and then exhaling, gently folding over that leg. 2 breaths like that as you inhale, finding a little lift, a little more space through the spine, through the torso. Exhaling, you might be able to fold a little deeper. And 1 more breath like that. And then just pausing here, about 3 breaths, allowing the chin to drop, the gaze to turn downward. You can always close those eyes. You can always count the breath. Breath, let's go ahead and bring our left hand to the inside of our leg or the inside of our foot, wherever we can reach for. And then inhaling, let's reach right hand all the way up towards the ceiling. First, just focus on extending, reaching from the hip all the way up towards those fingertips. Inhaling as we lift tall, and exhale, maybe you start to reach over towards those toes, adding a little side bend. You can relax through the head and the neck here. Try to keep both arms engaged. One more full breath. And then maybe on the inhale, we sit all the way back up. Go ahead and bring that right hand behind you. Left hand comes to the knee. Inhale a little bit taller, and exhaling as we turn to that right side. Each breath in as we pause here, trying to lift a little taller through the crown of the head. And then each breath out, you might be able to twist a little deeper. And then as you're ready, slowly making your way back to center. Let's bring both hands to the floor, just out in front of that leg. And again, inhale. We always want to lift and lengthen before we fold, before we twist. And then exhale, slowly walking those hands forward as far as those legs will allow. And about 3 breaths. Try to bring awareness, even though we're usually focusing on that breath, try to bring awareness to where you might feel a little stretch here. Through the inner leg, maybe through the hip, the lower back, whatever draws your attention, breathing into that area. And then slowly, when you feel ready, on an inhale, walking those hands back up, and once more we'll bring those legs forward out in front, shaking them out. Hands can come behind the body. You can do the same thing like we did before and just inhale, lifting through the heart, or you can ground down into those heels and lift the hips as well, pointing those toes, turning that gaze up, unless there's a wall behind you blocking your head. So just take 1 more full breath, lifting up tall, grounding down into those fingertips. And then exhaling, go ahead and lower all the way down. And just coming back to center, back to a comfortable seat. All right, let's just take 2 more breaths together here as we finish up. As always, feel free to lower down onto your back, take a nice long Shavasana on your own, or we can just finish up here. So finishing that next breath out, sitting nice and tall. On our inhale, let's reach those arms up, taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. And then a nice cleansing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Thank you for joining me today for this yoga practice. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.